Hey everyone, Daniel from Air Down Back. I'm going to work a little bit in the garage today, which is really nice. I've taken some time off between the Christmas and New Year holidays, so it's just nice to get out in the garage, and thanks to my wife for allowing me to. What I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to drill out this knuckle, and the point of drilling out the knuckle is I've got these giant high steer arm guys that bolt through. You kind of see how that slid into that high steer arm? Well, these bolt through the existing knuckle. This sleeve gives you something to weld on, and then you're tied into the original knuckle, makes it stronger. So because that's a TRE taper, we need to drill it out flat so I can just bolt this sucker on. So I'm gonna do that, but first I'm gonna get this heater started. Ah, beautiful heat. Alright, let's get back to this. So, let's find out what diameter this bolt is. By amazing power of deduction, and by sliding this drill bit in and out of this sleeve, I can tell you it's a 3/4. And I just got this brand new drill for Christmas, and I know I shouldn't be tackling a job like this with the smaller drill. I've got a big ass electric one, but these are pretty nuts, these brushless drills. So let's see. It's just wild how beefy these knuckles are. These are extreme. Okay. The most difficult part of this task is really going to be keeping the drill bit straight, as this surface is angled relative to this table. I don't know if you can see that or not. And I don't think straight's going to matter a whole heck of a lot, but the straighter the better, you know. Now, if what I've heard is true, these knuckles are steel. Oh gosh. Like a cast steel. And I don't know if I've ever worked with cast steel before, but this isn't really behaving like steel. It's behaving more like iron. The way it's making chips and stuff definitely reminds me of iron. So I just keep checking to make sure I'm going in straight. We're pretty much almost through already. Okay, knuckle drilled. Yeah, it didn't really chip up on the backside or nothing, so this didn't really behave like the steel I'm used to. Okay, I'm just going to clean up this edge back here a little bit, and I think we're good to buzz this nub down. Can you see that little nub right there? Yeah, this bump that protrudes. I'm not really sure why that's there. I bet you that's just the casting input, or one of the casting inputs where they push the material into the mold. And I need to buzz that flat because the knuckle, the weld on high steer arm, goes right here. So that'll be my next chore. That'll be loud and fun. Let's just stick this through and see what it's all about. Nice. I mean, it's not perfectly straight through, but it's gonna be good enough. Alright, I just have this on here, so I'm gonna leave it. It's a flap disc, 40 grit. We'll see what happens. I have to switch the grinder, I have to switch the grinder wheel. We got that stump knocked off of there pretty good. I think what I need to do now is kind of wire wheel the destination where that whole arm configuration sits. And then I've got a nice clean surface for doing a little welding. So this is the passenger side knuckle, if you weren't aware. Goes on a little something like that. This gives me an idea of where on this thing I need to shave down. And it looks like I need to kind of buzz down all along here, and then all the way down that arm, and then a lot of this backside too. There's another piece here that's part of this, and I'm not exactly sure where it goes. Sure as heck looks like it goes just like that, and like lays up against the body of the knuckle. I want to buzz this down and get it clean to weld before I bolt this guy through, because he has a nice pinch nut. They're really only the best when they're used once, so that these swages don't wear out doing it over and over again. So I'd rather just bolt it on once and be done with it. So I'll get all this clean while I have easy access, and we'll do the welding. Alright, well, I'm actually really impressed with how clean just the wire wheel got it. So I think that's good enough. I think I'll just give it the wipe down with a little Windex. In case you guys have never heard this before, you cannot ever use chlorinated brake cleaner. And for that reason, I wouldn't touch any brake cleaner at all and then weld with an argon-based gas. You'll create what's called phosgene gas, I think it's called, and it'll kill you, or it'll permanently screw you up. So don't do it. Never, ever, ever use brake cleaner and then weld right afterwards. I don't care if it's chlorinated or not, it's not worth the risk. What if they mislabeled it or accidentally put the wrong thing in the can, you know what I mean? Just use something simple. And for me, a lot of the times, Windex and a rag is just good enough. When I was thinking about doing this job earlier, I was thinking I would pull the ball joints first, and then I realized if I leave the ball joints in the knuckle, it'll actually probably help prevent some of the possible warping that could occur welding so close to it. So I'm just going to leave it. I think this is the best idea. But you didn't know I already have this giant ass wrench. This is for all the high steer on the Jeep because it's all the same bolts. Seems like an kind of a little bit of a too long of a bolt there, guys. Okay, let's give it the beans for no particular reason. I'm not really sure it needs the beans, but I just get that feeling I need to give it the beans when it's big bolt. The beans have been delivered. Aight, now that we got that on. Funny how things just get dirty laying about. I'm excited to weld this. I don't know if I'll get to it today, even though I'm pretty much almost there. So I promised my homie Eric in the red JK that I would help him weld up some nasty suspension he's got going on. And you know what? I totally need Heim joints for my steering before I can weld this on, because I need to be able to get this spacing dead perfect. Shoot. Alright. Well, here's the heist your arm mocked up. If I was a welding man, I would weld it on right now. But I guess I ain't no welding man without those heims. Alright, I got the driver's side knuckle up on the table now. I'm just going to drill it out while I have time. Eric's coming over right now, actually, and we're going to disconnect my old welder and take it over to his house, or Eric's house, the guy who films our off-road adventures. And we're going to do a coilover kit on his JK. So, but this welder over here has got the duty cycle to really hammer it out, so we're just going to use it. My word. Oh yeah, this. Oh, I gotta knock that junk down. I don't want to do that. Alright folks, I have taken a crazy long break from these knuckles, like 2 months. And I can explain that. Well, the first month, I guess, so I started this in November. So December, I spent my time doing that, welding up this rear axle truss. I got parts in the mail right now to make axle vices so I can mount them in a Bridgeport, and my homie's gonna help me mill them down, or mill down that pumpkin. So that took a while. And oh, also these racks are new. Very nice, helps clean all this garbage up quite a bit, organize it all. Another thing happened. We launched this. CNA Fabrication launched our MIG gun holder. I've got a bunch of wires sticking out of this right now. But this is a kit that you can buy on Amazon, soon on Amazon. Right now on our website, cnafabrication.com. And it comes in pieces, and you weld it up. So it goes off of our welding kit idea, but when you're done, it becomes a useful shop tool. So how cool is that? Plus, I mean, you're gonna steeze with that CNA. I mentioned that I wanted to wait for heims before I weld this up, but then I got to thinking I don't want to spatterball a bunch of heims, especially because they're expensive. So what I'm going to do instead, just notice my mic's in the shot. Nice, rookie. Anyway, I had the shop at my work make these heim spacers that are the same exact width as a heim, plus or minus half a thou. And then I'm using the beer box trick here from some hazy here. Using that beer box trick to make sure I get the spacing just right. And if you don't know what that is, you basically cut some beer box, you put a piece in between a joint you're trying to weld that has a width requirement, and after you're done welding it, you throw away the beer box and it's the perfect width for whatever you're putting in this case, a heim. So what I'm going to do now, if you watch my truss video, you know I'm going to weld as much of this as I can off of the knuckle. And then once I've got this thing as welded as I can, then I will start to fit it to the knuckle and weld it to the knuckle. And what that's going to do is reduce the warpage in the knuckle and put all of the forces into, or most of the forces into this actual metal, this formed sheet metal or plate metal or whatever. I'm going to probably do a test pass on some 1/4 inch if I can find some. Do a test pass on some open corner 1/4 inch. That way I make this weld right here as gorgeous as possible, because when this knuckle's on the rig, this is what you're going to see. Your eyes are going to be drawn right to this and right to this. Or I guess just this bead here. If this bead and this bead look amazing, the rest of it can look like crap and everyone will think you're awesome. So I'm going to, microphone's in the shot again, nice. I'm going to practice a little bit and then come in here and just make, hopefully, the world's most perfect open corner 1/4" plate weld. This is super hipster. I'm taking a video of the camera that's taking a video. But the idea here is I wanted to show you, this is what was hanging out in my view. I had this big snurgly contraption here. But I've done it this way now because the welding noise was clipping this mic really bad in my last video. And it made the audio sound like crap. So now I figured if I can get the mic to hide behind the GoPro, maybe that welding sounds won't clip the audio so bad, and maybe I'll actually get some good stuff. But anyway, I just figured you might like to know that tidbit. And I wanted to also mention real quick, I told you what I did in December, but I left out what I've been doing for January. So what happened in January? Why didn't I mention it? Well, almost the entire month of January, I was helping my brother throw a new transmission, or a good junkyard transmission, into his old Trailblazer. And that was my gift to him for doing something really, really important in his life. And without going into great detail, I was super proud of him. And if anything, we screwed up a bunch of tranny parts trying to put it in, and learned a bunch. It's a 4L60E, and I didn't seat the torque converter all the way and blew out the oil pump rotor. Probably 90% of you watching are going to go, "Oh, idiot," but it happened to us. So we yanked it, put it in, yanked it, put it in, yanked it, put it in a bunch of times. But if anything, it proved to him resilience is key to survival, and so maybe it's a good thing. But I'll show you. This is the graveyard. We've got a dead tranny here. And we've got one oil pump out of that one, and another oil pump, and this is what I did to it, in case you're wondering. But it's over now. It's driving, and he has a car. So now that I've spent 6 minutes talking and made the rest of the video probably boring, you probably never even made it this far, let's get to the important part, the welding. Okay, I decided that instead of practicing, I'm going to just do the bottom side because I'm fairly confident in my ability to adapt to whatever setting I choose. This is 1/4", but right now I've got it dialed in on the 1/8" setting. Come on. Aww. Since I'm the kind of guy that runs this way, I'm going to tack weld at the end so that when I get to the end it doesn't blow out the weld. So I'm going to tack weld here, and then I'm going to tack weld here for the same reason. Nice big tack weld we can run right up against. Same story here. That actually even might have been a little too hot for that area. I don't think it'll really matter. So just seeing the sheer size of this, I'm going to, and it's always better to go downhill when you weld, so I'm going to start up here and I'm going to just fill this whole thing with just a broad circle pattern, see what happens. I can handle that. That looks fine. And now I'm going to, while this is hot and it'll sink in, run across here real quick. Okay, and that's that first spot filled in. And I can tell right now that this thing is running way too hot to do an open corner on here. So I'm going to dial it down to the next setting. So I basically just jumped down to the 14 gauge setting. So now I'm going to attempt a full bead all the way start to finish on this open corner. And I just don't have a great rest. for that, but I want to make sure I have a really good weld here. I don't want to weld junk. I think that's a pretty good rest, but my hand might get a little hot. We'll see. Oh my goodness, do you see that weld? Look at it, just look at it. And look at the way it terminated because of that tack. If anything, I should have tack welded the start of it too. Damn, dude. Now that's open corner welding. Hell yeah. Okay, this is the one that's important. If I can make another weld look as good as the last one I just did on here and take a picture of it, I bet you Artec will post it on Instagram. And even though maybe it's like, I don't know, I don't care what anybody thinks. That's my goal. I don't care if it seems petty or what. I want this weld to be so good that it gets posted by Artec. We'll see. I'm gonna do a tack to start it, and then I'm gonna, well, first I'm gonna do this, fill that in like I did on the other side, and then I'm going to tack, and then I'm gonna start in the tack and run. That way the tack has a nice, that way this is tied in good with no stress concentrations. It doesn't like blow it out or make it look undercutty or too hot or whatever. I got a nice tack there. I said I was going to do this first. Oh well. Just a nice little weld to fill in those grooves. Now, let's just get down on it. Ooh, I do not have a great rest for this either. It's not the best rest, but it'll do. And I'm going to preheat this corner so it soaks in nice. Okay. Let's do this. Come on, nice weld. If Artec doesn't post that, they're crazy. I mean, come on. Do you see that? I should play some like porn music to this. Oh man. Brown chicken, brown cow. Oh my gosh. Pardon me if I toot my own horn for a minute, but man, I am pleased with that. Yes, yes, yes. I quit. I retire. I'm never welding again. It is so nice to make welds like that. I've been welding for, a pretty long time. It's not a perfect bead. I've been welding for a long time, practicing and building up to be able to make welds like this. And it's paying off. And all the hours I've invested into welding, into doing fabrication, is paying off right now where it really matters. Yes. Celebratory beer chug. The more spatter balls you get in your beer, the better it tastes. Okay, so now that I've done all the scary stuff, I'm going to start working on the middle piece that goes in between the outer halves here. That's how you handle fire. Just give it the old bit. If that don't do it, there's nothing you can do. Just let it burn. Oh, I forgot to mention, we bought a hell of a magnet that we put in these, and it comes in the kit with the MIG gun holder. It's kind of bubbly, but it's going to get ground down anyway. It's just to anchor this piece from moving while I run a bead in here. And these aren't going to be super pretty because I can't really get in there. Put a little weld here, then switch and do a little weld and just run back and forth. I also just remembered I'm on a really low setting for this. So before I go any further, I'm going to turn it up. Yeah, that's more of the heat I was expecting. So you can kind of see that weld, and then I don't know how well you can see in there and see that weld. Not horrible either. And for the access we were given, and for the backstepping, they're really not bad. I just realized I can reach in through like here and get a nice tack weld deep in this corner to help reduce this wanting to fold this way or that way when I take these spacers out to weld in here. And I got another access point right here. I'm gonna light these beer boxes on fire, but I don't really care. I'm going to chip a bunch of the slag balls out of here. I don't like looking in there and seeing that. Alright, look at that before and after. If that doesn't convince you to come through and try and remove them spatter balls after you make a bunch of them, I don't know what will. That's a nice welding tip for you. If you have a ton of spatter balls, at least try and knock them out of there with a screwdriver and a hammer real quick. Okay, so now I'm going to set this up on the knuckle and figure out where my fitment issues are. Well, first things first, this tack weld's gotta go. And unfortunately the kids are in bed, and their bed is pretty much right next to the garage, so I'm gonna have to get creative and probably chew on this with a file. Which, man, I really don't want to use a file right now, but it's either that or go inside and be done with the project, so I guess file it is. That tack weld's ground flush now. Didn't take too long, really. Pretty cool that Artec and then the other people that make the similar arms were able to use this knuckle as a locating feature, or this original tie rod end. I think you can kind of see along here I've got a perfect fitment. This curves right along nice. Around here, that fitment starts to break up a little bit, and they give you this roundy bit to basically be like, stop welding here, don't keep welding down into here, and that'll just cause it to like warp and create a stress here. So down to here, it's okay. There's a gap there, but I can fill that gap. I don't see an issue with that. Up to here, like where the metal rounds or bends, you can see it flares out, but it flares out to fit perfectly. Then it fits perfectly all along, and then boom, huge gap. So I think that what we really need to do, it seems, is knock down this pokey part, and hopefully we can get this whole high steer arm to like rotate into place right along in here, and then we can get that perfect fitment too. Because being so close to this ball joint, I don't want to be pulling on large gaps with hot welds right there. It might just warp this circle, and it might never seal right again, or might never hold a ball joint right again. So okay, I've got this tuned up pretty dang well. It's a good compromise, I think, anyway. You can see just how much tighter the top fits. Now I won't be dragging so much metal in. And then on the side here, it's just hovering over the surface, so I did lose a little there. And then I did end up grinding away at this post quite a bit. Oh, this tripod, hold on a sec. I wound up grinding away at this post quite a bit to get the whole thing to come in that way. But without sacrificing something, I think I've got the best overall fitment I can get. Tack weld up in here, I think. That'll drag it this way. And then I tack it right there in that kind of larger void that you see around this tube. And that'll give me push that way. And I think that'll be perfect. I think I need to take this opportunity to tack weld in here as well on this second layer. Okay, now we're tack welded, and let's go to town welding around this guy. I think the weld setting I've got will be a little hot for this. I've got such a pretty thing going on here that I don't want to really risk running a weld, or oh crap weld. Yeah, I don't know what to do. Let me think for a minute. It's really hot, a really hot setting. But this is all super thick metal, so. Yeah, it's real hot. It's really biting into that post. Really, I'm not too disappointed in making a very, very hot weld where it's necessary versus an artistic weld. So, in all reality, that's the bead. Not dynamite by any means, but I'll take it. I mean, it's a tough spot to get into. So, a very complete bead, and it'll look just fine on there too. It doesn't really detract from this bead much. But I think I'm gonna run this little, you can see this little like, woo! That's what I'm gonna do next. Well, that's a bit of a redeeming weld in that spot. It actually looks great. And it has nasty penetration. You can tell it's super warm because it started to chip away at that top edge and kind of sink away at it. That's a nice hot weld to dig into that post and really make penetration. So anyway, I guess at this point we have no choice but to take it off and just start welding around in there. My next move is to, I got a little bubble there. I don't like that. I'll probably try and knock that down with the grinder or something. But I'll weld around here. This is fully welded, that's fully welded. There's probably no point to weld the inside down here or up here because the outside welds are good and hot. But in the middle one, I'll probably come in here and weld a nice good weld right across there, because I think I'll be able to get into here with this dip easier than over here. And then I won't even bother just welding the top. I'll just leave that tack weld there and just go whoop, and then that tack weld can hang out. And then once that's done, I will pull these spacers out and finish welding these inside corners here, and then this piece will be welded, and then it will be ready to weld onto the knuckle. I'm going to leave it on this super hot setting. It's not making the nicest welds in the world, but I've already made my nice welds, and it's just digging deep, and I just want it to bite into this thick ass piece of metal real good. My plan worked. I came around the side and down onto that piece a little bit. Here, I'll flip it around. Down onto that piece a little bit, and I munched that gas bubble right out of there. Alright, I wish I would have done that one on the top. Or picked my start stop better, because that ring was freaking welded nice. Little 1-inch bead or so, and then we won't worry about the inside here like I was saying, because just welding one side will keep it stable. But having the beer box in here, we'll do a test after I get this one out. So having the beer box in there, now like it's a freaking perfect fit. The beer box does not fail. That one's a little looser, but I mean, like, look at that. The beer box just does not fail. How gorgeous is that? These are cool. I might start making them and selling them through CNN. Okay, I've got this set up now to where I can just quickly do a real fast weld right in here. We don't need much. I mean, obviously it's held in at the back end by a nice long weld. It's held in right here by a nice hot weld, and it's tacked in here. But we just need like a little weld in there to keep anything, I don't know what could happen. But we're gonna put a little weld in there anyway. We don't need to overdo it. I keep saying that, and it's true. You don't want to overdo something like this. You don't want to weld every single freaking tiny little spot that you could weld. just not necessary, and it's just gonna put a lot of forces and warpage into this. So actually, I can't really see crap, and I can't really get at it well either. I'm just gonna leave that one weld. I can't even get in here well. It'll just make a mess. So we'll just call it. This piece is now welded, and I'm done welding on it. So now what I'm gonna do is get in there and chip away at more of those like little slag balls. Still gotta get a couple little slag bits out of here, but I mean, just look at how much better it looks with a little spatterball-ectomy. Take the time and do it, because it's gonna make a difference. We got this hot little critter in here, and then the sucker's ready to be beat on. This is gonna be a tough son of a gun right here. You can't hurt this thing, man. Anyway, I will get back to you shortly. GoPro, stop recording.